Hi everyone. In this demo I'm going to show you how to connect remotely to a SQL Server Express or Developer Edition instance. This scenario usually happens when you want one of your colleagues to remotely connect to your machine. In order to allow access, there are two levels of security that need to be changed. First, we have to allow access through Windows, and then we have to configure the SQL Server instance to allow the protocol being requested. When you install SQL Server, the edition you specify not only controls which features are available, but also which protocols are available by default. In order to allow access to SQL Express and Developer Edition instances, we have to enable TCP/IP, which is not enabled by default. After we've enabled TCP/IP in SQL Server, we have to allow the appropriate ports through Windows Firewall. Some advice on the internet says to disable Windows Firewall entirely, but this is not a security best practice and it's not required at all. When you connect to a SQL Server instance, there are two different types of instances that you can connect to. First is the default instance, which is where you only specify the computer name and nothing else. The second type is a named instance, where you not only specify the computer name, but also the instance name. To connect to a default instance, the only port you have to open is TCP port 1433. To connect to a named instance, there's a second service called the SQL Browser service, which resolves the instance name to a port number. The SQL Browser service uses UDP port 1434. By default, named instances use dynamic ports, which means a new port number is assigned every time the service restarts. This is why the SQL Browser service is necessary. It's because the named instance service does not expose a known port number to the outside directly. As you can see, I have two virtual machines running in VirtualBox. The SQL Server is running on the one on the right, and we'll be trying to connect from the one on the left. Both machines are in an internal network, and while they're not in a domain, we'll still connect using Windows authentication. As a demonstration, I'll show that I can connect locally on the right side, but I can't connect remotely on the left side. The first step is to enable TCP/IP on the SQL Server service. We do this by first opening SQL Server Configuration Manager, and then in the Network Configuration node, we select the Protocols item for the instance of interest. Then we right-click on TCP/IP and click Enable. We get a warning that the changes we just made won't take effect until the next time the service is started. So let's do that now. We'll go to the Services node, right-click on the Database Engine instance, and click Restart. The service is now started with TCP/IP enabled, but we still can't connect until we configure the Windows Firewall. We'll go into the Advanced Firewall configuration, and then to the Inbound rules. To create an Allow rule for the SQL Browser service, we'll go to New Rule, and for this, we'll want to choose a specific port number. We'll select UDP, port 1434. We'll click Next all the way through, and we'll give the rule a name, and click Finish. Next, we'll create an Allow rule for the Database Engine instance itself. We'll go to New Rule. This time, we'll create a custom rule, and in the Services area, we'll select the Database Engine instance service. Again, we'll click Next all the way through and give the rule a name. And click Finish. Now we have all the firewall rules set up, so let's try to connect again. And this time, it works. Because the named instance uses dynamic ports by default, I allowed the service itself and any ports it's using through the firewall. Not only does this allow connection to the database engine instance itself, but it also allows any other port SQL Server may use, including things like database mirroring. If this isn't appropriate for your environment, you'll want to use more restrictive policies, but for most people this is okay. If you have any questions about this video, or if you'd like to suggest topics for future videos, please leave me a comment below. Thanks for watching.